the leaves begin to turn and the petals start to fall, stop and remember it all.
Welcome to the Fresh Toones Show. My name is Dave Paltz, and the theme of today's show is called Friendships Remembered. In this show, I really hope to encourage folks to remember some of those old friendships they've had and really take a moment to experience them once again. Memories aren't the same thing, but we can sometimes call on the feelings that we had at the time. I'm going to go through about 8 of my friends that have been the closest friendships that I've had, and in each instance, I'm going to just say a few words about them and say thanks, and then play a song that either they liked or a song I played with them or we sang together on, or just songs about very precious moments that we shared as friends. The first friend I'm going to talk about is Dave O'Lear, and I still have some contact with him through Facebook and messaging once in a while. And Dave was a big influence on me. He was a year or two older than me, and he lived right down the street from me on Nelson Street in Rochester, New York. And I was probably 12, and he was a little older. And we would spend hours walking up and down the length of our street. There was an old abandoned subway bed that was at the end of our street, so it was kind of like a dead end. We would walk down there, turn around, come back, and we'd go back and forth in an evening time, and we'd be talking about everything that was happening in the world. He was really into rocketry, and we would get into talking about politics a little bit, maybe later on about the war in Vietnam, but we'd be talking about things, and I guess we were looking for solutions. This song is dedicated to Dave, and it's called Remember It All.
When the leaves begin to turn and the petals start to fall, stop and remember it all. Remember the joy of spring, recall summer and the love she brings. It's fall now, stop and remember it all. Remember, but don't forget, your love is what you live. Love and remember it all. Old, young, or in between, remember where you've been. Oh, remember it all. Remember when you were lost, recall what brought you back. Oh, remember it all. Remember and don't forget, your love is what you live. Live and remember it all. Remember what made you sing, the tunes that let you smile within. Oh, remember it all. And if your memories start to dim, smile and it'll all kick in, and you'll remember it all. Oh, remember it all. You'll remember it all. You'll remember it all. You'll remember it all.
And that song was dedicated to Dave O'Lear. Thanks, Dave, for all the good times we had and our great talks together. I don't know if we figured anything out, but it certainly set up the rest of our lives to keep trying. This next song is a song I did with a friend named Terry Dell. His nickname was Bucks because he was one of the few of us that had a big paying job at Kodak as a tinsmith and construction worker there. I was friends with Terry since early high school days, and was in high school that we realized that we both liked playing guitar, and I think we started out playing the Beatles and the Monkees, and even Herb Alpert, who led a brass band that was big back in the early 60s and mid-60s. He had a friend that played saxophone, so I think that's kind of why we went into that music, as well as the popular rock music that we were playing. Terry and my relationship was pretty unique because as I got into songwriting, he was one of the few other musicians that really got into my songs and got into singing some of them, and he was quite the lead guitarist. And the song that I'm going to play for you is a song that I really enjoy what he did on the lead for this song of mine called Falling. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Falling, let your tears fall down on me. Let the floodgates all be released. Let the bitterness inside take her leave. Be gentle with your mind. Take it easy on yourself. You'll do more harm than anyone could ever do you. Don't play those games that cost you more than you could ever hope to gain. Why spread yourself so thin? Falling, mustn't let the sky falling on you. Got to hold it up above you. Why you find the time to do the things you love to do. Be gentle with your mind. Take it easy on yourself. You'll do more harm than anyone could ever do you. Don't play those games that cost you more than you could ever hope to gain. Why spread yourself so thin? Falling, let the past lie where it falls. You could start anew if you wanted to. I guess it's only up to you to choose. Be gentle with your mind. Be patient with her. Be gentle with your mind. And take your time, you'll come to know her. Falling, falling. Let your tears fall down on me. Let the floodgates all be released. Let the bitterness inside take her
That music was recorded on a little cassette recorders from the 70s, probably had just a tiny mic on it. Might not have the best quality to it, but it still brings back those moments really clearly to me. Thanks, Terry. The next friend that I want to talk about is Dan Rugg. Met him in high school at some point, and it wasn't until we were both in college that we started to sit around and basically probably started talking for hours about the political situation with Nixon and the Vietnam War. And he was a psychology major, and I certainly had a few psychology courses under my belt, so we probably talked a little bit about that stuff. And Dan had some really strong motivation to want to take some of those ideas out in the community and try to promote some positive things. And he was the prime organizer, and I was probably second in command for gathering up some folks that wanted to go out and do some nice things. And we organized some parties at the Psychiatric Center and the Al Siegel Center for the Disabled, and I think we went to a nursing home at one point and had some parties, and we were just a group of young people, I think 7 or 8 of us, that said, well, let's do this. And we would get together and go out for an evening, probably had a few drinks and listen to some music in one of the bars. But our primary thing was to try to go out there and do some of these things that we thought were pretty good. I guess folks would have referred to us as a group of do-gooders. We didn't care. We just did our thing. At one point, we were going to chip in our money and set up a teen drop-in center over on the edge of one of the rougher sections of Rochester. And we went around and we were just about ready to put some money down, and something happened that somebody moved on, or the whole thing kind of caved in on itself. Maybe Dan was going off to Syracuse to go to school. So that never happened, which probably was a good thing. We might have gotten into some real problems being in our early 20s and inviting a bunch of teens into a drop-in center. It was probably a good idea. That never went anywhere. But I want to say thanks to Dan, and I still see Dan, and we get together once a month. And the song that I picked out that kind of relates to Dan and this group of people that got together, and we were having a pretty good time. And a lot of us in our 20s were thinking about how to get out of this mess of society and the problems that they presented, and the pollution and the political conniving in the war in Vietnam, and how to get away from all that. So we, like many folks, imagined living up in the woods. And this song is for Dan, and it's called Sitting Back Up in the Woods.
Sitting back up in the woods, having fun just like we should. Playing our music, playing it all day long. You know, nothing could be so fine to have these few good friends of mine. I must be dreaming, must be dreaming again. You know, I've never been there except in my mind. I don't know if that's so bad to find. I figure it's better than they're that way than never been there at all, than to never been there at all. Well, you butter the bread and I'll make the tea. We'll keep our stomachs full and free. Sing under the trees all day and all night long. Forget what we've seen, forget what we've lost, for what we've got now is worth the cost. But I can't dream now, it's time to depart for work. You know, I've never been there except in my mind. I don't know if that's so bad to find. I figure it's better to have been there that way than never been there at all, than to never been there at all.
sitting back up in the woods, having fun just like we should. Playing our music, playing it all day long. You know, nothing could be so fine than have these few good friends of mine. I must be dreaming again. You know, I've never been there except in my mind. I don't know if that's so bad to find. I figure it's better to have been there that way than never been there at all. Than to never been there at all. Than to never been there at all. Than to never been there at all. And that was for Dan Rugg. We lived together for a number of years, and we had quite a group of people that would come over and play music. So it was kind of representative of what I sang about in that song, of sitting back up in the woods and playing music all day. We couldn't play it all day because we had jobs, but we had quite a time. I just wanted to remind everybody that today's theme is Friendships Remembered. And I'm kind of sharing some of my memories of friends, but I really hope that I encourage other folks to take the time to remember those friends and maybe jot down a few of their names and try to make connections with them if they can, or just reminisce and enjoy the thoughts you have about those old friends. This next person I'm going to mention a few words about is Jane Held. And Jane was my first real love of my life, and it relatively was short-lived compared to the partner that I have now that I've been with for more than 40 years now. Luann's been quite a partner, so I don't want to take anything away from that. So although my time with Jane was relatively short, probably, I don't know, altogether maybe 4 or 5 years, 2 or 3 of them we were very close, and then she moved to California, so it became very challenging to keep our friendship alive. And Jane was one of the few people, certainly one of the few female relationships that I had that really got me in who I was and what I was trying to be about. And she wrote me the nicest poem that I ever had written to me. And I wrote a number of songs that are connected to Jane. Jane passed away a few years ago. We did connect a little bit on Facebook, but we really didn't converse that much or share too much other than I would share her my birthday wishes and I'd share a link to some of my newest songs with her. But she had gone on and had quite a different life for herself, and I certainly did. But in that transition, as she was moving on to another life, I wrote this song called Where You Are. Like to be with you under the sun, like to be with you just as one, like to lie with you under the stars. Got me kind of wishing I was where you are, where you are. Ain't a lot of folks that I can talk to like talk to you. Ain't a lot of women I want to make a love to. Don't like all the dirty work you've got to do. If I had something to say, I could always say it to you. No, to you. And don't it always seem find your friends just in time to see them leave? Shouldn't really be so surprised. Got a lot of big things to do, and this is such a small prize. you when you're so full of life. Like to be with you when your smile's just right. Love to think back and remember when couldn't find nothing wrong with quote, just being friends. Being friends. Don't it always seem find your friends just in time to watch them leave? Shouldn't really be so surprised. Got a lot of big things to do, and this is such a small prize. Like to be with you under the sun. Like to be with you just as one. Like to lie with you under the stars. Got me kinda wishing I was where you are. Where you are. Where you are. Where you are. Well, bringing back a lot of old memories to me listening to these songs. I hope they spark some thoughts in those that are listening to remember back. Maybe somebody that you were close to many, many years ago and wonder how they're doing and wish the best for them. Along with Dan and Bucks and Jane and myself, we would have some grand old parties, and one of the best laughers of the group was Shauna. Shauna could just break us all up with her laughter. She was just something else as far as being a free spirit and having a grand old time. I had a lot of fun with Shauna. We did a lot of camping in the 70s. She had a van, and basically we'd sleep in the back of it when we'd go out camping if we didn't have our pup tents to climb into. We went to Maine one time and the Adirondacks. But the most common place was going to Letchworth Park, where we went a number of times, and we'd take our guitars and we'd play some old favorites, and sometimes we'd have these little get-togethers, and I think Shauna, me, Terry, and a couple other folks got together, and we put together a cassette tape for Jane, who had been out in California for a while and kind of missed her, and we said, oh, let's sing one of Jane's songs together. And we probably didn't do it justice for the way that Jane had done the song, but we wanted to convey in this cassette how much we loved her. And this song Jane had written for me, it was called Come Walk With Me.
This is a song by Jane Held. It's called Come Walk With Me.
Sky. Come walk with me now, don't be shy. There's so many things I want to know about you, but I'll discover them myself when time is due. I've seen you on the shore a while. I heard you talk, and I've seen you smile. I can't help but feel you growing in my heart. But let's just walk a while until it's time to part. You know I'm not the kind to tie you down. Put rings on my fingers and parade around town. Just come and walk with me and feel the sun. We know I'm not the kind to tie you down. Wear rings on my fingers and parade around town. Just come and warm me. Come and walk with 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 me.
That song was for you, Shauna. I can still hear your laughter. I hope you're still laughing and bringing joy to the world and enjoying your friends and enjoying your pups. And take care. Still love you. Hope you enjoyed the song. I'm going to take a little moment here for station identification, but I'll be back with some more Friendships Remembered. Hi, this is Dave Paltz from the Fresh Tunes Music Show. If you enjoy my show or any other on WRFZ, please donate to our Patreon account. Simply go on our website, rochesterfreeradio.com, and click on the big orange button. If all of our great listeners gave just a couple of bucks a month, it would help us to keep the music and talk flowing. We thank you for your support for 106.3 FM. Welcome back to the Fresh Toones Show. We're going to continue on with our theme today, Friendships Remembered. And this next really fine musician, Michael Smith, who I played with for a number of years in the Cotton Hollow Band, or the new Cotton Hollow Band, with Doug Irish on bass. And we had a pretty good time. We played out and made our $50 for playing 4 hours in some of the bars. Didn't make much money, probably spent many, many more hours practicing than we even spent playing out. But we had quite a camaraderie there for a number of years. And originally I was playing with Mike, just the two of us. I was working with Mike at the Rochester Psych Center, and we were kind of hippie-ish guys in this really strange world of what was then called the Rochester State Hospital. And if you've ever seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a lot of that was very similar to what we experienced as therapist aides, or we were kind of bouncers, although we didn't quite look the part, as you might think from seeing the attendants in that movie. Well, we tried to keep it down to earth, and we survived. And one of the ways we survived was by playing music, and it's kind of rough sometimes when we'd be playing out till 2 o'clock and not getting to bed till 4 o'clock, and then have to get to work by 7 or 7:30. It was kind of rough, but playing music really helped us to survive that whole weird world that we were working in. Mike got me to come out and play one of my songs at an amateur hour at Red Creek, and that was really the first time that I performed for an audience. I never cared for performing that much, but he got me out there, and then we built on that and started to perform as the new Cotton Hollow Band. This song is one of my songs called Careless Love, and it was a weird one for us to play out. We could get away with playing it at a coffee house, but no place like a bar or anything. And I always liked the lead that Mike played on this song of mine, and I'm glad we got a chance to play it out. It's called Careless Love.
We had our love to do all over. We'd probably do it over just about the same. So why spend your time with such dreaming
Well, that was one of our live recordings. I think that was probably from the Park Avenue Project back in 1979, a recording of playing that for a small audience there that seemed to like Careless Love. Thanks, Mike, for all your support and getting that song out there. Mike's quite a songwriter, and we played a number of his songs when we played out. So we all certainly grew a lot with the New Cotton Hollow Band. Well, my life even got more interesting when I was around 39 and ready to retire, but that wasn't to be seen yet. And I went to Graphic Careers, which was for graphic design, and I really didn't get into it, but I met up with Fred Armstrong, who had a studio called Animata Studio, and he was more from the old school of film and creating animation and commercials on film, which was quite quickly dying out. But I connected with Fred through Graphic Careers. They had a summer full 8 weeks program for animation, and I signed up for it and learned as much as I could in those 8 weeks, and was really excited about the potentials for animation, not only for a job, but also for my independent projects like music videos. I could really see a future for that. Approached Fred and said, hey, could I come and work for you? And I haven't got that much animation experience, but I have quite an art background. And he said, well, that'll be fine, but I can't offer you a regular paycheck. And I said, well, I'll be learning the business, so let's give it a try, and the two of us see if we can take Animata Studio and make it a viable business and have some fun doing it. It'll be a real challenge, and that's what we did. And we did that for 15 years, very closely working together, and with a lot of interns that came through, so that we all learned and we all grew. And I still work with Fred at Animatus. I'm retired now, but in these 30 years of working at Animata Studio and working on my own projects, one of those projects was a music video to a song of mine called Self-Employed, which tells the story of Fred and the struggles of having a studio. And so here it is.
My life is
doesn't matter what I am, I'm self-employed. Yeah, self-employed. I got my house up in blocks, my kids barely in shoes. I have my own business, but don't know how long I do. I'm self-employed. Yeah, self-employed. I could have lived my parents' dreams. I could have lived their money. I could have chosen harsh reality, but I'd rather live in a fantasy, cause I'm self-employed. Yeah, self-employed. I got my house up in blocks, my kids barely in shoes. I got my own business, but don't know how long I do. I'm self-employed. Yeah, self-employed.
Hi, folks. Here you go, Fred. Yeah. Keep in touch. Sure. Uh-oh.
Yo, boy.
Look!
Come here, you old scoundrel.
Run! Yikes! Run, Dad, run!
I could have been a fireman. Could have been
Repent, you sinner.
Get out of there! We need water! What's the I'm self-employed. I got my house up in blocks, my kids barely in shoes. I got my own
like
business,
he's
but don't know
not
how long
here.
I've
What
been
next?
self-employed. Yeah, self-employed. Oh, self-employed.
Not my eyes! Oh, that's my leg you're chewing on! That's so hard!
That song was for you, Fred. Fred and I have been good friends for 31 years now, and we'll probably be friends for many years to come if we both stay healthy. Last but not least is my best friend and pal, Luann. Luann and I have been together for 41 years now, and they've been some pretty good years. I give her a lot of credit for hanging in there with me, and I'm pretty weird sometimes, and my humor may not always be appreciated, but we've been close for so many years now that we kind of have one brain in terms of starting to say something that the other was just going to say. I love her a lot. It was kind of a surprise at the age of 30. I pretty much had given up on finding someone. I had some close relationships and things had moved on. And I wasn't really that focused on it. So I said, well, if it comes, it comes. If someone that I can relate to and have a good relationship with, that'll be fine. And not too long after that, I met up with Luann, and she could appreciate my weirdness and my overoccupied mind sometimes from the creative things that I'm working on. Sometimes I come in and out of being there, and she'll tell me that sometimes. And it's probably a good thing to tell me to knock it off and come back to the real world. We've had some really good times together. We aren't big travelers, and she has no interest in it, and I kind of feel like whenever I'm working on my creative projects, I'm kind of going off on a trip, and that's pretty exciting for me. So I think we'll make it the rest of the way, and we certainly had some adventures. The song I'm going to share with you is a whole lot of things that have happened in our relationship. One of them was when our property had been completely contaminated by a gasoline leak by the storage tanks behind our property, and how many years we went through with struggling with that. So let me share it with you. There's a pretty entertaining animation that I put to this song, and it's up on YouTube. It's called I'm With You.
I'm with you all the way. I'm with you, come what may. I'm with you when I wake you in the night. You can't miss it. I'm with you when my thoughts seem off in flight.
No!
I'm with you all the way. I'm with you, come what may. I'm with you when I'm tired, now sore, don't you mind me. I'm with you when I spill crumbs right on the floor. I'm with you all the way.
And that song was for my buddy Luann. As long as I mention him buddy here, we kind of said to each other, you know, when we were kids, they had a buddy system where if you went on a tour with a class or something, that you'd match up with somebody else and you'd either take their hand or you'd keep your eye on them when you were off the school grounds. So I said, well, let's practice the buddy system for the two of us and we'll watch out for each other in life. Talking about the buddy system made me think of this song that I wrote called The Budship Rag. Two souls came together to dance the budship rag. With smiling faces, they walked hand in hand. No weights to hold them down, just bathed in love's sweet song. Sometimes in forests thick, seemed lost, but their love still lived, and they'd do the budship rag. They do the budship rag. And take her hand and do the budship rag. No locks placed on their fingers, no pulpit loomed above. Their friendship lacked illusion. Unknowns were sure to come, but they'd do the budship rag. They do the budship rag. Take her hand and do the budship rag. Any wishes for the future held in check on each day's end. As partners they kept a dance until the tempo slowed and age coiled in. But they did the budship rag. They did the budship rag. They did the budship rag till age called in. Hello? Age, is that you? Sorry to hear from you. Yeah, we've been singing the budship rag for many years now, and I guess it's time to cash in. Hey, Age, do you mind if I sing it just one more time? What's that you say? Go ahead. Alright. They did the budship rag. They did the budship rag. They did the budship rag till age called in. Well, that was for my buddy Luann, and that was the budship rag. As the time is getting short here on the Fresh Toones Show and our theme of friendships remembered, I've got time for one more song today, and it's a very recent song of mine, and it's called Friendships, 2 words. And it's about how friendships are sometimes kind of like ships on an ocean, and the waves sometimes rock those friendships around, and sometimes they wonder if they're going to survive, but we stick with it like I have with a lot of these friends and work through things. Those friendships can stabilize and move ahead. This song is called Friendships. Friendships sail with galleys full, with trust and understanding, so much more there that they do. Though currents shift, their love persists. Through the storms we'll keep on sailing. Empiric poles direct our course. Our friends allow us leeway. The journey's right, it's no surprise. Gives joy to those who board them. Friendships ride the waves, take their dips and toss and sway. The moonlight invites the tides. We might fall short, but then we'll rise. No flippery, just honesty. Our sails they wish to steer us. The full winds lift our cherished ships, point out the stars to guide us. A friend indeed is what we need, is oftentimes repeated. But better yet, a friend in need is a chance to feed the bond between us. Friendships ride the waves and take their dips, toss and sway. The moonlight invites the tides. We might fall short, but then we'll rise. Friendships sail with galleys full, with trust and understanding, so much more there that they do. Though currents shift, their love persists. Through the storms we'll keep on sailing. One more time now. Friendships ride the waves, take their dips, toss and sway. The moonlight invites the tides. We might fall short, but then we'll rise. Well, that's it for the Fresh Toones Show today. I really hope I encouraged folks to really pause and think about those friends and what they meant to you, and maybe it'll encourage some reconnections there, or just once again appreciating the things that those friends brought to you in your life. I hope you enjoyed the show. Have a great week. Connect if you can. Take a moment to think about your friends. Say thanks, and have a great week. Bye now.
You'll remember it all.